our third episode of the Changemakers with Forbes, India and Hilton. Today we are at the newly launched Hilton Gurugram Bani City Centre in the heart of Gurugram's bustling business and innovation district. We are thrilled to host four exceptional leaders who embody innovation, purpose and resilience.
If you have that bandwidth to think beyond your capacity, that's when you can create anything and everything.
Agility is the only way you can survive.
It's a lot of unlearning that we need to do.
Keep trying and keep failing.
The Leaders of Tomorrow explores what it truly means to lead in a fast-evolving world. Leadership today is not about achieving balance.
The potential to do something in a country like ours is literally limitless.
This episode, The Leaders of Tomorrow, explores what it truly means to lead in a fast-evolving world. Leadership today is not only about achieving balance, but finding harmony, creating synergy between personal ambition, professional vision, and societal impact to drive success. We are thrilled to host four exceptional leaders who embody innovation, purpose, and resilience. They will share their journeys, insights, and strategies that make them the leaders of tomorrow. So let's meet them. First up, we have Gul Panag. She is entrepreneur, actor and pilot, known for seamlessly integrating purpose, sustainability and action across industries like aviation, fitness and business. Then we have Ragini Das, co-founder of Leap Club, a platform transforming professional spaces for women and setting a new standard for inclusivity. Then we have Shrikant Bola, CEO of Boland Industries and entrepreneur championing inclusion and sustainability in the business world. And finally, Pranjal Kamra, CEO of Phenology, a financial educator empowering individuals through accessible and impactful financial literacy. All of you, welcome to this platform, The Changemakers.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So let's begin and set the tone of this conversation by asking you to define leadership.
When you look at dreams, right, they are never practical. And it is leaders like us who make them real. Because it takes a lot of courage, efforts, and a lot of sacrifices to turn otherwise free dreams into reality. I truly believe compassion is actually what is rich. And if you try to do something for someone, you will be the first beneficiary. And if you look at loneliness, it is actually the poverty. If someone can actually take these three values and put it into action, that person will be a great leader for the world.
I like the way in which you put across that, leader is someone who makes dreams and turns them into reality. But Pranjal, what are your thoughts on leadership?
It's a great question. So I was always a horrible student academically. I flunked law, 5 years of law school I did in 6 years. So I was very underconfident interacting with teachers, examinations and things like that. Which is why I decided, okay, law is not for me. I'll get into finance. And it was my college interview, admission interview. And the dean was sitting and she was looking at me for 15 minutes. She asked me a question and she was just listening for 15 minutes. She gave me no visual feedback. And after 15 minutes, she tells me, 20 years of my career, this is the best answer I've ever heard. And that changed me forever. I was for the first time amongst the toppers in the batch, and which is why I got the confidence that, okay, finance is for me. So I think leadership is about making people believe that they can do it. It's about motivating them and inspiring them.
Instilling confidence. Kul, you're someone who has navigated diverse set of industries. So, from that experience, how would you define leadership?
Leadership is essentially building an empowered collective that works cohesively towards a shared goal. A leader is like the captain of a ship, the director on a movie set. It's so important to lead by example and set the tone of what you expect others to do. And that is the greatest way you can empower a cohesive team to achieve a shared collective goal.
Now, over to you, Ragini. If you can tell us, how is Leap Club redefining women in leadership? Where did the idea, where did the germ come from?
So the germ was originally actually professional networking, right? Like I remember, and I have a decent following on LinkedIn, but I was working at Zomato, so I would get messages like, "Ma'am, mera dal has not come. My Zomato Gold membership has expired. Please give me a coupon code."
On LinkedIn?
On LinkedIn. right? And this is the kind of stuff that you get. And I will complain to Dipinder Goyal, my order has not come, like all sorts of nonsense. So that was the original germ. We'd sent our deck to a bunch of friendly investors, and one of them, I think India's second largest VC firm, had basically told me, okay, we're calling our portfolio, why don't you all come? And our office was in Gurgaon, and I was just like, there's no way I'm driving from Gurgaon to Delhi on a Thursday night. But I am so glad I did, Shabani, because I walked into that room and there were 60 men, but there were only 2 women. The one person was me, who was not even a founder, and the second person was the event organizer. Even in the most inclusive companies, have I seen the broken rung, which is a lot of women, I think as you start, but then barely any at leadership? Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And that's exactly what we set out to create and
some
solve
of the
for.
manufacturing units, for example, in the country, they don't even have women's washroom.
At all.
Yeah, forget
At all.
recruiting women.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that.
not a safe
disparity.
job for
absolutely.
women to do.
But having said that, and that leads me to my next question to you, Shrikant. What is the role of the leadership to, make sure that the different voices on the table, there are different people of different ability, diverse set of team members on your team. What is the role of the leadership over there?
I think, a leader is someone who takes empathy first more than anything else. Because nowadays we talk about DI and diversity, inclusion and equity as fancy words in the corporate world, but they're not actually practiced with the real mindset. When you practice inclusivity as an intention, that's when your business outcomes will increase. It's as simple as creating a small accommodations for people with physical needs, or creating washrooms for people with no legs, or creating leg levers for machinery instead of hand operation switches. I think people of all ages, people of all categories, people of all disabilities can in fact do better job than the fully abled people, in my experience. And when you hire people who are at the margins of the society, they have lowest attrition possible because of the loyalty that they have on the company due to rare opportunities that are there for them elsewhere. And that will in turn increase your business outcomes and the productivity and so on and so forth. That is what makes you a leader who can empathetically look at every case as a need-based case study.
Yeah. Having empathy and having that intent.
And hunger.
And
I think
hunger.
What he means is hunger, right? Like they stay because there is genuine hunger in them. Look at the Indian cricket team. Everyone's from tier 2, tier 3 cities.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
There is hunger and ambition in that DNA.
Yeah, and you are from one such market. Raipur is where you've set up your entire team for phenology. What are some of the hurdles that you have encountered in spreading financial literacy in our country? Like, where insurance penetration, for example, is one of the lowest in the world for the kind of population that we have.
Yeah. So when I went about solving problems, I did not had MBA to back me, marketing, product building, MVP. I came to realize all these factors later. So till today, at Phenology, our brief is very similar. We are a team of 60 people. Let's solve our problems. Thankfully, there are 150 crore Indians. If we solve our problems, we'll always have a good enough market size. Another thing we look at is do random stuff as long as the cost of failing is very small. So keep failing, keep trying and keep failing. If you try 10 things, so we don't know the market size most of the time. We don't know if people will pay, but we know this is a project worth 10 lakh rupees. We have 2 crores in the bank. If we fail, it doesn't really impact us. As long as we have 2 crores, as long as it will cost us 10 lakh, please go ahead, don't do the research. The research and the survey will cost us 10 lakhs. So let's build it, let's roll it out in the market. Another way we solve problems is by copying. So, we learn the first words that we speak by copying elders. We start, learning to drive by copying others. I cleared exam by copying others. why not do something that someone is already doing in any ways? Because you are a different individual, you'll execute it slightly differently.
Yeah.
So Flipkart in principle could be a copy, but execution is different. So we love copying. I think as a bootstrap startup, that greatly reduces our R&D and failure costs.
What
Inspiring.
Any such lessons, anything that you want to share, Gul?
If you're not agile, you're not open to new ideas. And that's one of the reasons personally. I mean, I don't right now have an anecdote. If it comes to me, I'll certainly share it.
Yeah.
Agility is the only way you can survive in a constantly changing, extremely dynamic environment. Things as they are today are not going to be this way tomorrow. So for us as individuals, for us as team members, we've just got to be dynamic. And there's a interesting army lesson, which is now a corporate mantra, OODA, observe, orient, decide, and act. I like to throw myself in the deep end every now and then. And the easiest way to throw yourself into the deep end is to study more. If you see a moderate degree of success in any field, it could be anything, the sense of complacency that can set in is natural. How do you challenge that? So creating an environment where constant learning is a part of life. And that has to come from you first as an individual. So I think the agility comes from there. The agility comes from not knowing everything. The agility comes from not having all the answers. And the best way to not have all the answers is to repeatedly enroll to studies. I've spent the last 10 years doing my master's, learning how to fly, getting a license, and I have to repeatedly do things to keep it current.
Yeah.
So I have to get into an aircraft and do a recency check every X number of days. And that reminds you how little you know. Every time I sit for an exam, I'm like, I don't know anything. I still wake up in cold sweat every now and then, oh my God, I have an exam tomorrow. And that's the most incredible feeling. The feeling that you're drowning and then suddenly you're treading water and then you're swimming across.
You started off as Miss India, moved on to acting, politics, followed your passion point in fitness. You're such a fabulous fitness icon, an entrepreneur. Is there some decision, in your life that you made that, changed your life for good?
The decisive point for me to decide that I wanted to do more with my life was about, I would say, 13 or 14 years ago when I realized that the potential to do something in a country like ours is literally limitless. India is going to be the engine of the growth story of the world for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
And we have to be aware of that. We have to capitalize on that as people who want to do interesting stuff. Every opportunity is a platform to learn something new from Ragini, Shrikant, Pranjal. I'm always looking to learn something new. And I want to go to bed every day practicing something I do with my son. What did you learn today? What are you grateful for? What was tricky? I have an insatiable hunger to learn.
That's a wonderful thing to say because, so many times when you learn something new, it could be the smallest, like it could be the meaning of a word that you picked up on the internet and you feel that, that day is fulfilled when you learn something new on that day. It's a great thought. And I'm going to pick up on one thing that you said is that you have to move beyond. Any person has to move beyond the skill set. That is the best way, to live. But in today's world, as a leader, Shrikant, if I were to ask you, you would rather recruit a highly skilled person or a highly motivated person? What would be your choice?
So I rather recruit people with good ethics, good values, and good hunger and passion and purpose to work and be a part of an organization, because that's the organization you want to build. Because I believe in companies, I believe in building companies that should last forever. And I always believe in building companies that should not have an owner. I think the system should drive the growth and the company itself. That way, I think we need to attract right people to work with. Otherwise, we end up firing much faster than what you can hire, which is what is happening nowadays. To me as leader, I think if a person worked in a particular organization for a long time, yet he drew less salary, I think that is the person that I'm going to pick up and motivate and nurture to be a part of Bolent's ecosystem and DNA, because we have a specific, fair, equal, level playing field in terms of employee morale, ecosystem, and the empathy towards each other. So I think that's what I believe in operating.
Great. You spoke about instilling confidence amongst your team members. Tell us more about your team and how do you nurture them, in your company as a leader?
I really feel that it's never been a problem in terms of getting the right talent. So I think one part of building a good team is first hiring right. That's half the job done. So more than, our processes are still evolving. We are a 60-member team. A few years ago, we were a 20-member team. We hardly had any processes, to be honest. But what I have learned is first, hire right. So we were looking for someone who can do the web development job for us. And this was a big lesson for us. And we were randomly calling yellow pages in Raipur, trying to hire anyone we could, because both me and my co-founder are not from the tech background.
Yeah.
So a guy comes in, and that's the first day of our office. We just got incubated by the government. So we were very happy, just the two of us.
Yeah.
And the guy comes in, very shabbily dressed, bathroom slippers, joggers, t-shirt, and just all red flags. And he tells us, okay, tumne phone kiya tha? And I said, yes. Where did you get my number from? And I tell him, I searched through here and this is a local blog. He calls the blog owner in front of me and tells me, I've told you tens of times to remove my name. Any college guy randomly calls me and asks me to work. This is what I'll do. And my first reaction was, we don't want to work with him. No way. But he showed us some samples and he told us, I don't want to do a business meet with you. I know what you want to do now. You have briefed me. Give me 2 days. After 2 days, he gives me a 50-page brief of what our quarterly plan should be, how much resources we'll need, where will the revenue comes from, what's the 5-year plan, how the industry looks like. And I felt, oh God, I'm really lucky. This is the person I needed.
Yeah. I'm going to also touch upon some of the challenges, that you guys individually faced while, building your business, building your brand over the past many years. So let's start with you, Ragini. I'm going to ask you first about, speaking to these different women from various walks of life, and what are some of the obstacles that they face? What are some of the challenges that they face that they have spoken about in your encounter with them in their career paths?
Yeah. So for context, for the first 10,000 users we ever had, we spoke to them on the phone. So there were 45-minute, 50-minute phone calls that we manually did, which sounds archaic, right? Today, like, why will anyone do that? So for us, it was very important to ensure we get the right sort of women who want to give as much as take, right? The first, like literally in the first 10 minutes of me meeting Gul, she said, whatever help you need, take my number, give me a call, right? So how do you ensure you have people who are willing to kind of pay it forward? Now, because of those calls, I think that also gave us a lot of context on what are real problems people are having, right? What are things that are genuinely needed in the world? What are things that we feel are needed but we don't end up using, right? Like a lot of these things like coaching, access to mental wellness, all of this were great things people really wanted. But when you give them access to it, we just realized they don't use it as much as just give me someone who I can learn from. Give me a mentor. Give me a role model. Give me strong female friendships. Of course, we also understand why people drop off the workforce, right? It is childcare. It is marriage. It is, no matter how modern you say, right? It is husband, in-laws, all of those things. And sometimes just I give up because I can't juggle it all, right? Like I'm not able to manage a high intense job as well as a child, as well as, home responsibilities. So I think the ones who end up making it and keep growing have the help, have the resources.
Have you faced any obstacles like that, moving in from one sector, one business to another? What were some of the challenges? Because typically when you try to do that, when you have the audacity to try out something new, and which you are really honestly doing, people tend to tell you, okay, stick to your expertise, okay? Stick to your, where your area, don't move beyond this. So have you faced that, and how have you overcome those challenges?
All the time. It started when I first consciously faced blowback and pushback in the good old glory days of of social media and Twitter, where if you chose to comment on something which wasn't considered your core competence, we're like, what do you know? What do you know? You are an actress. Just do your own thing. And I remember I remember being on a panel discussion on a network with Mr. Uddhav Thackeray. And he said, please, you go back to acting. I said, you go back to cartooning. And he laughed later. But the point is, we do that to everybody. We box people into boxes, and we feel that that's all they will know. But I want to step away a couple thousand years, 12,500 years to be precise, from when we became settlers, from hunter-gatherers. You had to do everything. You couldn't choose to be a subject matter expert. You had to survive, and in order to survive, you had to be multifaceted. And that's precisely what set us apart from our simian ancestors. The very fact that we had empathy, intuitiveness, and also the ability to do more than just what our simian ancestors were doing. We could do more. That baseline needs to constantly be reiterated because we forget that. And that mindset of looking for solutions is the answer. So every time there'll be an obstacle where someone will say, this can't be done. Like Ragini said, oh, but you're anyway discounting 50% of the population from your TG. The idea is to find a way to do it. Because when you find a way to do it, you bring on the table a unique proposition. Because if you were doing something that everybody had already done, then you would not have your USP. What is different that you are doing? If other people were doing that, then you wouldn't have your unique proposition. So the challenges are always going to be there. There will always be obstacles. I mean, it's happened. I remember the first investor meet I had ages ago. There was a certain bias. I won't name the person, he's very famous, came with, oh, but you must be brand ambassador. I said, no, I'm here in much more than a capacity as a brand ambassador. And when we spoke, I'm not sure if I changed his mind, but that wasn't my intention. He put money on the table, and that's what matters the most. And not just because of me, because of the collective that we were working together as the whole team. So there will always be people who come with predispositions and positions. Our job is to make sure that we get what we want out of the picture. And again, at the risk of being repetitive, using each opportunity to learn something from that interaction. If XYZ feels a particular way about me, I don't need to negate that feeling. I need to counter it.
And sometimes, what I've also learned, because of course I have multiple of those as well, I feel like it used to really anger me initially when people used to not understand what lead does, which is mostly, it's all rooms full of men, right? Like, how do you even know how to explain this? But I think over the last 2 years, I've been okay with people not understanding. It's not my job. Like, I can't waste my energy in being angry or like trying to prove to you that this is needed in the world. And I remember something, one of our investors, right? And we have 60% women on our cap table, but we have some great men as well. And Kunal Bell said this to me. He said, Ragini is going to take one yes, right? So you might have to knock a few more doors than a lot of the others, but you will find that one match who will be a way better fit than someone who didn't believe in it in the first place.
All it requires is one yes. But what is the advice that you would like to give to leaders about turning adversity into, great advantage or opportunity for their business?
As I mentioned earlier, I think it's the challenge, it's the challenges that we face makes who we are and defines who we are. Because whenever someone says no, I always prove that I can do it. And it's only me who can do it. Because that allows me to think outside the box, create that heart shape, and get myself motivated to think beyond and then emerge victorious. So I think I never took answer for a no. I think that has been my DNA ever since I was born. And when people question that I cannot study, I proved that I can do wonders. When people question that I cannot study science, I not only studied science, but have created top-class QC and R&D facilities to develop the most complicated synthetic and as well as biodegradable surfactants for home care, beauty care industry. And when people said IITs cannot create accommodations for you, I went on to study in the US. I think the reason why I'm saying this is what allows us to open up our eyes to the bigger world. Whenever someone questions your abilities, that's when your real abilities will come to life and you will be able to excel beyond people's expectations. When I wanted to start a recycling company in 2012, where sustainability was not a practiced word in India, people said, you can't do this, and this will be mafia driven, this thing, that thing. And I said, no, our vision is to create world-class products out of waste that people should be proud of using, and by using people who are at the margins of the society. And within 8 years, we have proven that to the core. And now everybody is talking about sustainability, waste to wealth, recycling, and we have proven that concept way beyond. When investments doesn't exist for social enterprises in India back then, that was the time we were able to go to investors and say, investing in social enterprises is the only way which is going to give you maximum returns, because making money in the most socially responsible manner is what every leader should do, and in a most empathetic way, because we can make money either ways, but doing it the right way is what makes you as a leader who can inspire the world. Because India, as we are all talking about, people of 1.5 billion or 2 billion, in fact, but that needs a lot of motivation, a lot of inspiration, and it is people like us who are leaders can do this. I think if we can demonstrate that this can be done, I think challenges are part of life, because success is not a one-stop destiny. It is a journey that we cherish every day. If you look at the journey of an entrepreneur, it's sadly a lonely journey, yet spiritual, right? Because most people do not understand why do we want to work so hard, take huge risks and put ourselves through a roller coaster. And that is why I became an entrepreneur.
Yeah, but having said that, challenges, as you mentioned, are a part of life. But sustaining, through those challenges as a leader, as an entrepreneur, I'm sure, you guys face it on a day-to-day basis. Thriving and surviving through all of these challenges is a challenge in itself. So
I think, but it's a solution itself too, right? I mean, when you face a challenge, that's when you look at finding a right solution to it. See, for me, set of challenges looks like set of solutions. Because if you say, Shrikant, you can't do it, I can't hear that no. I will only hear, I can do it. I think that perception will always walk you towards creating that hardship and overcoming that hardship with your will and determination. That's when challenges never exist. Today, I am at a level where if I don't face a challenge, I become restless. Because my mind needs to think innovatively to do the next big thing. Because for me, innovation is all about creating products or services affordable to people, creating more aesthetically appealing to consumers who really wants to do it, use it, or using more and more waste into wealth concept. Because, for example, if you see, we have started creating laundry detergents out of cashew nut shell waste. And we have started creating a lot of surfactants out of plant waste. We recycle millions of palm leaves into tableware products and are currently exporting to countries like US. We make mineral products like silica, aluminum, and much more from the boiler ash that we generate as part of waste in the manufacturing process. I think if you have that bandwidth to think beyond your capacity, that's when you can create anything and everything that you would want to as a leader, and make it a convenient world for all of us to live in.
Great thought.
This is so inspiring.
Yeah, this is
Change,
so absolutely inspiring.
change is not something that I want to wait for someone to make it, but I want to be the symbol of that change that I want to see in the future.
That's wonderful.
Amazing
Yeah.
to hear.
But having said that, what strategies or habits that you guys have in place to, let's say, sustain your energy and passion, in what you do? Pranjal, let's begin with you.
This is something that I learned from my dog.
Yeah.
So when he has not had enough physical activity, he'll get moody, a bit aggressive, he'll be annoyed. And on days he has burned himself out by running around, playing, he'll sleep peacefully.
Yeah.
So I just picked it up. I got a dog 3 years ago, and I just picked it up from him. Let's run like him. Let's run like crazy when I'm feeling too much is in my head. I just feel that a lot of things run on our mind because that's our body's way of compensating not burning energy physically.
Even I, like, so many times if there is a conflict that happens, if you're upset about something, if you're struggling to find a solution or anything, I sleep over that issue,
Okay.
wake up the next day morning, go out for a run, and like, somewhere I just crack it on the run, or I calm myself down. It just happens. It's just magic. Don't you think, Gul?
It's the one time where you're just with yourself. My mental health is directly proportional to the amount I run. So while I do various things for fitness, from like punching the punch bag or to kickboxing or strength, the payoff of running is far greater. Now, I can't run every day, so I try to taper it down to 2 to 3 days a week while also doing strength and other stuff. But that's the one time that I'm truly alone. A lot of, as Pranjal said, a lot of the problems, challenges that I'm facing are solved on that run. And again, I'm not saying big distance. Even between, I don't do beyond 5 kilometers anymore, unless people hold a gun to my head and make me run a half marathon or a full marathon, which my friends will make me do now in Bombay. But my comfort pace and my comfort sort of distance is a 5K run. It's manageable. I can get on with my day after that. And I think what I solve in that 25, 30-minute period sets me up for at least 2 to 3 days. I think that's really important. But also making sure, to talk of burnout, making sure that you're aware that you're burning candles at all ends. I don't think for us it's just two ends. We're burning candles at ends that are not even ends. So literally it's like, and being aware that it's happening and accepting that it's happening allows you to deal with it. Not acknowledging that you're pushing yourself beyond your limit, physically or mentally, is where the problem lies. But seeing that also as a challenge that needs to be solved for makes it solvable.
Yeah.
But if we say, "Arey, now I'm so tired and I can't do all this and I can't take it anymore," finding a way to take it and seeing that as a challenge. In all of this, how am I going to take care of myself? And listing that as a challenge to surmount is an achievable way of managing yourself in order to last longer, be more fruitful, take care of your health, which includes mental and physical health.
Over to you, Ragini. Gul mentioned that sometimes it's difficult for us to even spot that we are burning out.
Yeah.
And that may be true to your team as well.
Yeah.
So how do you build this resilient team? How do you, spot some of the challenges or, burnout for that matter that they are facing?
Yeah. Compartmentalizing, but also picking what battles you want to pick.
Yeah.
Everything is not a battle that you need to pick.
Today.
You don't today.
Yeah.
And as a startup, you don't need to be solving 20 problems. You can do either a decent job at doing 20 things or you can do a fantastic job at doing 5 things. And I feel like the biggest change I have made in myself in the last 1 year of a lot of learning and unlearning, I would say, is really picking battles, not just for myself, but also for the team. Because everything is not urgent and important, right?
Yeah.
Everything doesn't have to happen today. We take pride in our speed of execution. We are the fastest workers there ever will be. I am the most impatient founder, as my team will rightly tell you. But I feel like a lot of my change was also, first of all, I can't solve everything. I can't be a part of everything. And if this is not my circle of competence, like she said, like she doesn't want to do Excel, he doesn't want to do Excel, I will find someone who will do a great job at doing Excel and I have to let go.
Yeah.
Right?
Delegation is also
I have
a
to
trait,
delegate.
yeah.
I have to trust them. I have to do that. And it's easier said than done because I will still be up. And any founder who will tell you I don't wake up and think about work is lying to you, right?
Yeah.
You will wake up and you will think about work. But having that, I will switch off after 8:30 p.m. and anything hits the roof, I don't care, right? And trust me, nothing hits the roof ever.
Yeah.
Everything can wait until tomorrow. It's just us on Gmail, on Slack, on, I think whatever dashboards you're using. I feel like it's a lot of unlearning that we need to do. But I feel like that little bit of this thing is required because every day cannot be a 200%.
And I think if you don't take that every quarter little break, then you come back with a vengeance and your break becomes toxic.
Yeah.
Because all you're doing on the break is thinking about the work that's not been done.
Yeah.
Because you've waited for too long to take whatever reset that you use. I mean, it could be a spa, it could be going for a run with your dog or a little mini break. I'm a huge advocate of quarterly little mini breaks for everyone, simply because they're easier to reset from than like one annual break, which is not
doesn't
really a
help.
break. Because your annual break
want
is
to
spent
take
thinking
as
about the
well.
work that needs to be done when you come back.
Another thing I stopped doing, I stopped reading business books. I stopped reading startup books and podcasts. Like, I'm sorry, but I realized that I wouldn't say it was toxic to me, but it's only making me think about work.
She's saying this while she's a part of the podcast, by the way.
No, but I'm just saying, like, this is still easier. It's not making me feel like, oh my God, I have to change this about my organization tomorrow. And I'm guilty of listening to a lot of that, right? Because you're a first-time founder, you're trying to get knowledge from all the, books, all the growth handbooks and all the, like podcasts possible. But I think just find great fiction if you like reading, right? But just really figure what is wellness for you. Like, I think they also said everyone's idea of wellness is different, right? For y'all, it could be a run. For him, it could be, I think putting up a good fight and like just, bouncing back. For me, it could be my dog, Jimmy. And it's okay. Like, it's okay for everyone to have their own quirks and be ready to take your team's quirks because that's what they sign up.
As a leader, Pranjal, over to you. After, let's say, a high energy, a long day on your work trip, how do you recharge yourself when you are traveling? What is the best way that you recharge yourself?
So which is why I don't enjoy traveling, because it disrupts my badminton in the morning and cricket in the evening, especially weekends. And I travel mostly on weekends, events, and my friends hate it. You are again not coming for cricket. Is this not important for you? So I love my badminton, then I play with my dog, and evening crickets. And if something is missing is when I run. And regarding hotels, there's one unique thing that I do. So my father has a watchful eye always on me, that whether money is getting into his head. He's very careful about it. So he'll always say me, which hotel are you staying in? Can't you stay in a normal hotel? Can't you stay near the railway station? And that has crept into me. So my hack is, if there are 2 or more consecutive nights when I'm staying in a 5-star, the third night I'll sleep on the floor to mimic to mimic difficulty.
Me neither.
That is new.
As a leader, you might be passionate about what you do, what you've set up. You might be passionate about what you do, what you've set up. But how do you align that passion and have your entire team on board with the same thought process? Shrikant, if you may answer that for us.
I think if you actually practice and preach, then your team understands it easily. And if the leader in a team is already visionary and is already kind of doing everything to own it and then complete it, and automatically the team follows. But I think unlike the contrary opinions of the panel, I think I am very bad in terms of breaking or anything until the work at hand is done. Because for me, dream is not something that I see in the sleep, but it is something that doesn't even let me sleep. So I like to finish off and think about new tasks. I think that's how the makeup is. Nothing wrong with that type of leadership versus this type of leadership. I think this is how I inspire my team to dream big and work hard and ensure we achieve what is there for us in front. I think that's how we are hard-coded to work.
That's a good thought. How do you handle pressures?
I simply love to fight. I'm a fighter. Because for leaders like me who are rebels, who's always thirst to make change happen, I think for people like us, I would always get more inspiration while making things changed for all of us. And that is what gives me, a lot of energy, positivity, and great strength. I think that's what keeps me going. It's because I love to make change felt every day. And every day for me, just as Gul said, is a new day of learning, new day of new beginning. Because for me, I think God can only give us starting circumstances, but we make our own destiny. The future is in our hands to make it less random and more predictable.
Great. Well, that was an incredible conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank thank you to our incredible speakers for their inspiring insights and stories. Today's discussion has shown us how harmony, resilience, and innovation define the leaders of tomorrow. A special thank you to Hilton Gurugram Bani City Centre for hosting us in this exceptional space. Stay tuned for the final episode of the Changemakers, where we continue to explore the stories shaping India's future. Thank you for joining us.